Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1980. A man walks into a casino, carrying nothing more than loose change in his pocket. He has no weapons, no disguises, and no accomplices waiting outside. He looks like everyone else. Middle-aged, quiet, dressed in average clothes. The kind of person casino employees are trained to ignore. Within minutes, he will sit down at a slot machine that has been tested, regulated, and protected by an industry built entirely to prevent cheating. And he will win. Not because he is lucky, not because the machine is broken, but because he understands something no one in that room does. Over the next 16 years, this man will quietly move from casino to casino across the United States and beyond: Las Vegas, Atlantic City, riverboat casinos, Native American casinos, even international floors. He will beat mechanical machines, then electronic ones, then optical sensors. Every time casinos upgrade their security, he adapts faster. By the time the industry realizes what is happening, millions of dollars are already gone. No alarms are triggered. No guards chase him down. No cameras catch him in the act. Casino employees watch him walk away again and again, never knowing he just outsmarted all of them. How does one man defeat an entire system designed to stop him? And more importantly, how long can perfection stay invisible? Tommy Glenn Carmichael does not look like a criminal mastermind. In 1980, he is 35 years old, a high school dropout working as a TV repairman and locksmith in Tulsa. He earns around $18,000 a year and lives in a small apartment with his wife and 2 children. Bills arrive faster than paychecks. The car needs repairs. The kids need new shoes. Tommy is good with his hands. Always has been. Give him a broken lock and he fixes it in minutes. Give him a television with no picture and he instinctively finds the faulty component. But skill does not pay the rent. His bank account is often overdrawn. Credit cards are maxed out. The American dream feels distant, almost fictional. Tommy does not grow up wanting to steal from casinos. He is not chasing luxury or excitement. He is chasing stability. Then one day, a friend calls. The conversation sounds casual, almost harmless. "Have you ever been to Las Vegas?" Tommy laughs. He cannot afford Las Vegas. What if I told you there's a way to make money there? That question changes everything. At first, it sounds absurd. Casinos are designed to win. Slot machines are supposed to be random. The house always has the edge. But his friend explains something different. Slot machines are not magic. They are machines. Mechanical systems with switches, sensors, calendars, and moving parts, all designed and assembled by humans. And like anything built by humans, they have weaknesses. Tommy listens. Not because he wants to steal, but because for the first time in a long while, the math of his life might change. If machines can be understood, if systems can be learned, then maybe they can be beaten. At this moment, Tommy is not thinking about millions of dollars at casinos across the country. He is thinking about next month's rent, unaware that this single conversation is quietly putting him on a collision course with an entire industry. The first time Tommy steps onto a casino floor, he does not see glamour. He sees patterns. Rows of machines repeating the same motions. Levers pulled in identical rhythms. Coins dropping in predictable intervals. To most people, slot machines are boxes of chance. To Tommy, they look mechanical, almost familiar. He watches how employees service them, how often they are checked, how casually players interact with them. He notices that older machines feel different, more physical, more responsive. Back home, he starts researching. He buys old machines from auctions. He takes them apart in his garage. He studies how coins are counted, how switches trigger payouts, how signals move from one component to another. He experiments, fails, tries again. Most attempts do nothing. Some jam the machine. A few produce small, inconsistent results. But slowly, patterns emerge. Tommy realized that the machine does not know intent. It only reacts to inputs. If the right signal is triggered at the right moment, the machine behaves exactly as designed, just not in the way the casino expects. This is not luck. This is engineering. And once Tommy understands that, the problem is no longer whether a machine can be beaten, but how quietly it can be done. He builds his first crude tool by hand, nothing more than shaped metal and wire, designed to interact with internal components the machine cannot distinguish from normal operation. It works, but only sometimes. Instead of rushing to use it, Tommy refines it. He sets rules for himself. Never stay too long, never win too much, never to return too quickly, never celebrate. The goal is not to get rich overnight. The goal is to remain invisible. When he finally returns to a casino, he tests the tool carefully. A small win, then another. He leaves immediately. No attention, no suspicion. Over time, he improves the design, shaving seconds off insertion, increasing reliability. Casinos upgrade machines. Tommy upgrades his tools. Each iteration is more precise, more controlled. What began as survival becomes mastery. And with every successful visit, one truth becomes clearer. The machines are evolving, but so is he. The question is no longer whether he can beat them. It's how long he can stay ahead before the system notices something is wrong. As Tommy's confidence grows, so does his discipline. He learns to treat every casino visit like a controlled experiment. He times his sessions, limits his exposure, and watches the people around him more closely than the machines themselves. He understands that technology can be fooled, but human behavior is less predictable. Security guards rotate shifts, technicians follow routines, surveillance teams grow bored. Patterns, he realizes, are not just mechanical, they are human. So he studies those too. He learns when floors are busiest, when attention is divided, when a win looks ordinary instead of suspicious. He blends into the background, another aging man feeding coins into machines, losing most of the time, winning just enough to look forgettable. As the years pass, casinos begin replacing older mechanical slots with newer electronic models. To most cheaters, this would be the end. For Tommy, it is simply the next problem to solve. Electronic machines no longer rely on the same physical switches, but they still depend on signals. Different inputs, different sensors, different vulnerabilities. He buys newer machines when he can, dismantles them piece by piece, mapping their logic the way a locksmith maps the tumblers inside a lock. Each upgrade forces him back into his garage, back into trial and error. Some tools fail completely. Others work once and never again. But every failure teaches him something. Slowly, methodically, he adapts. By the early 1990s, Tommy is no longer struggling. The money is steady now, almost predictable. He buys a house. He replaces his car. His children go to better schools. On the surface, his life looks normal, quiet, modest, unremarkable. No one sees the long nights spent bent over disassembled machines, or the careful notes tracking which casinos he visited and when. He never hits the same place twice in a short window. He never allows himself to win too much in a single session. The goal remains the same: invisibility. And for a long time, it works. But while Tommy is refining his techniques, the casino industry is refining its defenses. By the mid-1990s, patterns begin to surface, not around a single person, but across multiple locations. Machines are paying out slightly more than expected, not enough to trigger alarms, but enough to raise questions. Analysts notice that certain models underperform for the house. Investigators start pulling footage, comparing logs, searching for anomalies. At first, they find nothing obvious. No smashed machines, no altered software, just people playing, winning occasionally, leaving quietly. Still, the numbers don't lie. Somewhere someone is exploiting a weakness. The industry's response is slow but relentless. Gaming control boards begin sharing information. Surveillance footage is reviewed more carefully. Attention shifts from machines to players. Who touches the machine at odd moments? Who leaves immediately after a win? Who appears in multiple locations exhibiting the same subtle behaviors? This is no longer about catching a cheater in the act. It's about narrowing a field. And gradually one name starts to surface. A man with no criminal record, no flashy habits, and no obvious tells. A man who has been walking casino floors for years without ever drawing attention. The final mistake is not arrogance or greed, it is consistency. After more than a decade of success, the very rules that kept Tommy invisible begin to define him. His habits, once protective, become identifiable. He doesn't know it yet, but he is no longer alone on the casino floor. Eyes are watching him now, not because he looks suspicious, but because the data says he should be. When federal agents finally move in, there is no dramatic chase, no resistance. They wait until the evidence is undeniable. When they approach him, Tommy understands immediately. The game is over. What follows is not a collapse, but a negotiation. Prosecutors know what they have. A man who understands slot machines better than almost anyone alive. Casinos want him silenced, but they also want his knowledge. In exchange for cooperation, Tommy avoids decades in prison. He hands over his tools, explains how they work, and helps redesign the very systems he once defeated. The irony is impossible to ignore. The man who outsmarted every casino employee ends up working for the industry he exposed. His techniques help close loopholes, protect billions, and change how casinos think about security forever. In the end, no one celebrates. Tommy loses his freedom to gamble. Casinos lose their illusions of invincibility. The system survives, stronger but more cautious. And the man who spent 16 years beating the odds fades back into obscurity, leaving behind a single unanswered question. Did he really lose? Or did he win in a way the system itself never anticipated? Years later, casino floors are quieter than they used to be. Machines are smarter, sensors tighter, patterns monitored in real time. The weaknesses Tommy once exploited no longer exist. Not because they were never there, but because someone proved they could be beaten. Most players will never know his name. Casino employees will never be trained on his story. The industry prefers it that way. Legends make people curious, and curiosity is dangerous. But buried inside security manuals and training programs, his fingerprints remain. Every safeguard added, every loophole closed, is a quiet acknowledgement of what one man managed to do for 16 years without violence, without threats, without being noticed. He didn't overpower the system, he understood it, and that was enough. So who really won? The man who took millions and walked away? Or the industry that learned, adapted, and made itself stronger? Maybe neither answer is complete, because the most unsettling truth is this. The system wasn't beaten by luck or chaos. It was beaten by patience, discipline, and human intelligence. And as long as systems are built by people, there will always be someone capable of seeing what everyone else overlooks. The question isn't whether it can happen again. The question is whether anyone will notice before it does.